Welcome to one of the CMG Tech Bytes video. My name is Reza Malakuti and I am going to show you in this video how to set up the switch option in CoFlow Facility. Switches in CoFlow Facility will be divided into two different types, input switch or output switch. In the input switch, the switch is between two inputs to direct the fluid stream into a single output line. As an example, we are showing in here that how we have used the input switch to direct either the vapor phase or a liquid phase from a two-phase separator into the sink delivery point in this facility. In the output switch, the switch is happening between the output lines for a fluid stream which is coming from a single inlet line. As an example, you see in here that for this producer, we are going to use the output switch in order to decide which line after the output switch will be the active line for that production fluid stream. In this video, the example that we are going to show you how to apply the switch in that facility is shown in here. In this example, we are going to use the output switch for this facility after each producer well in here. The idea is that we are going to direct the producer fluid between the high pressure or low pressure line. When the wellhead pressure is high enough for the fluids production to reach to the three-phase separator in here, we are going to use the high pressure line for that fluid. When the wellhead pressure is becoming low and low, we are going to activate the low pressure line to transport the fluid production into this three-phase separator at this point. As you can see, the low pressure line would be equipped with a kind of compressor to pressurize the fluid and ensure the delivery of the fluid at this three-phase separator. Let's have a look on the CoFlow software now to see how we can apply this switch option in the software. This is the main interface of the CoFlow software, and here we have already built the model in CoFlow. We can go to the facility section in here and have a quick look on the facility that we have already built for this example. By clicking on the edit option in here, we can open the facility in this example. From the equipment palette in here, we are having access to the number of the equipments that we typically use in the facility, and as you can see, the output switch or input switch would be available in the equipment palette as well. By dragging this equipment into the main interface, you will be able to use that equipment in your surface facility. If I click on each output switch option in here, you will see that one of the main inputs for the switch would be which active port we are going to apply for that output switch. At the moment, the active port has been set to the port A. If I choose the port B, you will be noticed that the dynamic behavior of the switch would be also shown in the main interface. So if I go back to the port A, switch equipment port would be also updated in the main interface. At the moment, by default, we have activated the port A for the all three producers, which means that initially when we start with the production, because of the wellhead pressures are initially high enough we are going to send all the production towards the high pressure line to the three-phase separator in here. How we can now define the switch moment into the port B, as you can see in here, and then direct the fluids into the low pressure line. This is something that we can do in the simulation time event section of the CoFlow software. So let's see how we can define that in the CoFlow. Click OK now. To define the simulation time event, we go to the simulation task that we already have built for this example. And you see that under the simulation task, there is a section called Specify Simulation Time Event. Click on the edit. As you can see, we already have defined one simulation time event for the well producer 1 and the other one for the well producer 2. As you can see from the description in here, the condition that we are monitoring in here to modify the output switch has been set to the top hole pressure or wellhead pressure of the well, which says when the wellhead pressure is going below the 1600 psi in this model, we are going to modify the output switch into the port B and directing the fluid towards the low pressure line. Let me show you how we can define the simulation time event for the third well. To do that, you just click on Add a Simulation Time Event in here, and then we can make a name for this event, as we already have done this for the other wells. Then we are going to add a conditions in here, and the condition is based on monitoring the wellhead pressure of the well. So we click on here, and from the available list we choose the well property monitor in here, and then we click on add a new condition and select our third well, producer well, which is the well number 3. And then from the element top hole, the property would be pressure, and the value would be 1600 psi. Click OK. After the conditions, now we need to define the action. So what we are going to do when this wellhead pressure goes below than the 1600 psi. We are going to add one action in here. And as I said before, the action would be modifying the equipment that we have in the facility, and that would be the switch option in the facility. From the list, we find the modify equipment, and from the facility, we have the facility network only, which is the name of the only available facility in this model. From that facility, we need to find out our equipment name for the output switch for the third well, which was output switch 3. And then you see in here we have an option to tell the CoFlow which port we want to make active after that condition happens in the model. So we select port B and then click OK, and then OK in here. With that modification, we have now defined all the 3 triggers that we wanted to define for that wellhead pressure. Let's have a look on the results of this model. In here, we already have run this model, and now we can have a look on the results of this example. To view the results of the facility, you can directly go to the facility network, click edit in here, and then from this part of the interface, you can select show time stepping of the simulation results. And with that option, you would be able to see the profile of your parameters such as pressure and the other parameters across the whole facility network at each time step. Let's go through the earlier time step of the simulation in here. As you can see, for example, for this well, we have the output switch port B active, and this is because, as you can see, the top hole pressure, when you hover the mouse over the wellhead pressure, you will see the summary results of that wellhead, and you see that the wellhead pressure is less than the 1600, and that's why the output switch port B has been activated now to direct the fluids from the wellhead to throughout the low pressure line. The benefit of using this switch would be that if the wellhead pressure would be low, by defining such a kind of low pressure and also the compression facility in here, you would be still able to make that well alive in the production facility and still be able to produce from that well, because sometimes the low wellhead pressure would cause a kind of negative wellhead pressure depending on the pressure constant that you have defined in the facility, and by negative delta P around the valve, that well would be shut off and you don't have any production from that well. The other way that you can also check when the output switch has been activated in this model would be through the equipment itself. So if you just click on the output switch and then right click and select the time series results plot and then check the active port, click OK, you would be able to see throughout the simulation at what time the port A has been activated, which means that the high pressure line has been activated, and then when the port B starts to be alive in this facility and direct the fluids from the wellhead throughout the low pressure line. And the same thing would be applied for the other output switches in this model. The other thing that you can also check with your results in here is that by right click on the legends in here, you would be able to select the other properties such as temperature or, for example, phase rates, just to monitor those properties across the surface network. That was the end of the demonstration in this video to show you how we can set up the switch option in the CoFlow facility. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you will find this video very helpful.